What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Thank you so much again for tuning in back with us here for part 2 of this conversation about the men's basketball team this year. So, jumping right back into it. First of all, again, if you haven't checked out part 1, go check out part 1. So that way you kind of get a little bit of the context of where we started with this conversation. But again, make sure, again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out whenever we release new Instate content. Get this video a like so that way more Instate fans will be able to see this video, and give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But jumping right back into it, so one of the things I wanted to say, because obviously one coach in our other major sport that we love, Dave Doran, one of the things that I love about Doran is I think that if you compared Coach Doran in terms of a football coach just by himself, he's probably not one of the best football coaches in the country. But I think he is one of the best coaches at getting great coaches around him. And because I think that's really what it takes, really, is to have not necessarily, have the best, not necessarily be the best coach, but have the best coaches around you. And I think that's one of the issues you're seeing right now with Keats, because obviously I'm not necessarily sold that he's the greatest basketball coach himself, but I think that he needs help around him. And I think that this offseason, we need a lot of help, obviously, first of all, from the transfer portal. We need a lot of help with getting faces in, but we also need some, I think, definite adjustments from the coaching side. It's got to happen. There's no way that he can have another year without major overhaul. It's got to happen. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the fans base to buy in, because it's like, okay, the definition of saying he's doing the same thing and expecting different results. Like, we're saying the problem is coaching. The coaching's got to change. It's got to. If it's not Keats, it's got to be the assistants, one way or the other.
Yeah, my thought is, though, I think everybody in the room knows it's not just the assistant coaches. So,
right,
things matriculate from the top down. So,
well, that's why I said is that. But again, if Keats isn't the best coach, then he is the head coach. So in order for him to stick around, he's got to be able to put some guys around him. It's not necessarily the master of everything, but just do the best. But yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying is I don't think Keats is the best head coach, but got to put somebody around you, who is an excellent.
I feel like that would be like a scapegoat kind of thing. Like, oh hey, not James Johnson, but I can't remember who the coaches are. Like, going to let you go. Come on, like, yeah, I know he's going to have to save
but that's
face,
the way it always works out, though.
Yeah,
that's the way it always works out. But, when you're talking head coaches, you're basically talking a CEO or CFO or whatever you want to call it,
correct,
right? The head of your company, the face of your company. And they're making, the buck stops with them. But, when you're surrounding yourself with these other talents, let's not forget, he's lost 2 coaches to head coaching jobs. So something was being done right. And if you want to compare Coach Doran, like when he's had to replace assistants, sometimes you don't always make the right hire the first time around. So you got to plug and play folks, and you do with the best what you can. And sometimes you don't always get what you want. So maybe there's been offers out there that it didn't work, or whatever the case may be. But like Macon said, someone's head's going to be on the chopping block. So it's either the head coach or the assistant coaches. And if the AD is not ready to pull the trigger on a head coach, or, maybe the ultimatum is, hey, you need to make changes with your assistants, because we know that's happened in the past with, and maybe not at State, but other programs for sure. Then that's the next logical move. So at the end of the day, I think he's going to get another year, though.
And because again, talking and kind of comparing a little bit more about Doran, because one of the there's really two big things that Doran has done that I really look at as like, okay, that is a moving in the right direction. And the first thing is something he said. The second thing is something he did. The thing that he said was in 2014 when we beat Carolina, and he made his famous press conference after beating Carolina saying, we're a hand in the dirt, blue collar school, and that's exactly what this team is going to be. And because I think that you saw a couple things. You saw his passion. You saw what he was trying to, what he wants this team to be about, what he wants the culture to be. But you also saw his passion, hatred for Carolina. And then the thing that he and by the way too, that's not something I really see a lot from Keats, which we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But the thing that he did, which I think was a huge turning point for the program, was when he fired Dave Huxtable. And because for two things. First of all, I think like you were saying, Macon, that it wasn't the issue. Probably wasn't really Dave Huxtable, but because I mean, like a lot of people forget that Tony Gibson was already there and he was already the defensive coordinator with Huxtable, but everybody was still saying, "Oh, the defense is a problem. Huxtable's got to go." But it's like, well, he's not even necessarily running the ship anymore. It's technically him and Gibson splitting it, but also too because everybody said like he's not going to fire Huxtable because Huxtable's his right hand man. Like he's gone years with Huxtable, but when he did that, it was like okay, like it showed okay he's willing to make the tough decision for the sake of the program, and look where it is now. Golly, man, like what a change has gone on defense. So it's unfortunately it's like sometimes change is good. Even though it's may not necessarily needed. At the end of the day, it's got to be a great offseason for Keats, and it's got to be a good year for Keats next season. Otherwise, he won't be here. As simple as that. The fan base will not allow a season close to this next season. It's got to be a solid season next year for sure. So, but yeah, make anything to build on that. I'm sorry, I know I kind of jumped in there.
Well, Boo Corrigan's going to make a decision before then. Is my only thing.
True.
So he's going to have a conversation with Keats. I mean, to me, Keats is. I don't want to say he's like a really good used car salesman, but he's like, he can sell you something, man. It's like he wins the press conference. He can polish it up. He can make it sound real good. And that's what coaches do. I mean, it's their job. They're going to make themselves look good, but he can make it sound really good. I mean, he's got I don't know, he can make it sound really good. I wanted him to be really successful. And I'm telling you what, man, I hope I eat my words next year if he gets another chance. I hope I eat my words. I hope he goes and wins a national championship.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know, man. I'm usually a fairly glass half full approach when it comes to instant athletics. I know, like, particularly my dad and my brother, they have been more like glass half empty because they've been hurt so many times and burned so many times as a fan. But I'm like, nah, well, I don't know. Maybe he'll get another shot. Maybe let's figure it out. This stat over here and this stat over here says this. And you look at this performance and this guy I'm kind of the point, like, does it really matter? Like, we keep losing and I'm tired of it. Like, if you watch this ACC tournament documentary, I mentioned this in another episode. I can't remember which one it was. You just look at what State did to make the ACC and there's so much history there, and we just squandered it for 30 years. We squandered it, and Mark Godfrey's the best coach we've had, since the 30s. I mean, like, I'm not. That sounds weird.
Yeah,
he got us 2 Sweet 16s, so he surrounded himself with really good coaches too. So yeah, I'm just that's kind of feel about it. I'm more and more ready for a change. Is all I am. I mean, I would love to see him do really well next year if he gets a chance, and I'll be rooting for him because I love State. Mm-hmm. But if I'm Boo Corrigan, I mentioned this in the last episode. If you keep him, you're going to have some fans that totally check out, that you lose some of the fan base. But if you let him go, nobody's going to blame you. Everybody would get it. So you might have some people that I could potentially be like, oh, well, he had the NCAA thing and he didn't have Manny Bates. I mean, I don't think those people really exist, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But one other thing I want to kind of mention though, and because I remember Keats' first year, again, he's one of the only or few head coaches in NC State history that has ever beaten Carolina and Duke and Wake Forest in his first year. And I remember after beating them that there was, again, I don't have the exact quote from me, but basically a question along the lines of like, how does it feel like, to beat, the Roy Williams and Coach K in the same year. And it was, I can't remember the exact answer. I'm not really going to like say exactly what he said or try to remember what he said, but it basically came off as basically like that, like, it's a game, like, it's a win. And like, I think like my reaction at the time was like, okay, like, yeah, like I love the swagger, like, basically of him, coming off as like, yeah, like, it's not a huge win. We expect this win. Like, that's kind of how I took it. But honestly, like, just him talking about, the upcoming game against Carolina that after Boston College, and then like over the years, I just don't know, because like, one of the things I love about Doran, again, I hate to keep on bringing up football, but then day football is working right now, so like, okay, well, let's see what's working with football and let's compare it to basketball. But
women's
Doran,
basketball's working.
what say again?
I said women's basketball's working.
Yeah, but one thing with Doran is, you knew this from 2014 again, is that, I mean, he made the comment about like, how he was so excited to get all this Carolina stuff out here. Like, he cannot stand Carolina, even though he's not an NC State guy, but he can't stand Carolina, and that. And I just don't know with Keats that he can't stand Carolina. I think to him, honestly, unfortunately, and I would love for him to prove me otherwise, I just think he kind of, again, he just doesn't have the same level as State fans do. And because that's the thing I love about Doran, is like, he gets us. But I don't know if Keats gets us. I don't think he understands what our goals are, what's important to us as fans. Like, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at, Greg. Is that a little bit much, or, I mean, is there justification in that?
No, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. He doesn't seem like emotional, like with these rivalry games, and Coach Doran does take it differently. But like we had said in the previous episode, everyone handles things differently. Some guys are real rah guys, and some people want to express their emotions that way, and that's fine. Honestly, State fans probably could care less what a coach says as long as he wins. I mean, at the bottom line, that's how you're judged. And speaking of wins, I think in that initial press conference when he said, like, who is Kevin Keats? That was the question. And he said, well, Kevin Keats is a winner. And I loved it at the time, but it's kind of, like, that's what everyone's going to use against you if you don't win, right? They're going to sling that quote right back at you. And that's the one thing that fans are, they're bitter. I mean, fans are going to be bitter, and they're going to, hold you to, what you say. And personally, I love Coach Keats. Like, I like want to see him succeed. I don't want to see a revolving door of coaches. I don't. It's not stable for the program. The fans, will become very, checked out, complacent. They don't care. And that's not what I want. Like, I've met Coach Keats a couple times. He's been very nice. He unfortunately, Macon's probably not wrong when you could get that used car salesman vibe from him. He could probably sell ice to Alaskans,
I'll tell you what, but I mean, like, Godfrey could do the same thing. It's probably not a fair critique. But
absolutely, they all can. It's a gift. Yeah,
they're slick.
So, but at the end of the day, I just want someone that's going to come here and win, and I don't need you to be passionate and wear your emotions on your sleeve. I don't get me wrong, I enjoy it every now and then, especially if it's needed, if the moment calls for it. But I don't need that. I just want a winner. And Kevin Keats, if you're a winner, well, not if you're a winner, he is a winner. He's won, but I want you to just go, and we talked about it in the live stream. I want you to go dominate. I want you to go dominate every team you play, and just put it to bed. Just go put it to bed.
He wants to. He wants to.
Yeah.
Now he wants to. I'm sure he does.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of, I don't know if he knows how to do it at the Power 5 level. I mean, that sounds bad to say, but I don't know if he does, because he did it at Wilmington, and he was an assistant at Louisville, so I guess he's seen Rick Pitino do it. But I mean, he also had a lot of really bad off the field, off the court.
We won't go there,
but that's a good point.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, like, you can't tell me that, like, in 5 years he's still trying to, you said, one more year. That's why I kind of feel like, one more year for me, guys, and then I'll get it. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
You know, it's funny though. Like everyone points to, well, you know, Coach K. It was like his 8th or 9th year before he turned it around. But
Leonard
you know
Hamilton.
what the difference is? I think today, yeah, Leonard Hamilton too. Social media. Like if you think about it, like if Coach K did that today, there's no way he lasts 8 years. And so it's just, you know, different times. You know, we as a society have changed. The money has changed the game. Obviously, you know, the money wasn't being thrown around like back in the 80s. So when you add those things together, coaches don't get 8 years to figure it out. They just don't. There's too much money involved.
You're 1,000,000% right.
And go ahead.
Great point.
Yeah, no, I'm
here.
I'm saying preach, my brother. I mean, that cannot be. And because one of the things that
cheers all around.
Because one thing that breaks my heart too, like just like with you making with the AC documentaries, I was actually watching the Survive in Advance documentary again yesterday. I don't know why, but just for some reason I wanted to watch it, and like
nostalgia.
And yeah,
been there, done that.
And well, and it's just like the game is just it is night and day different. Like even though the game of basketball is still, you take a ball and you put it in a hoop. It's still that, but everything besides that is completely different. Everything. It's craziness. So
yep.
So but yeah, and see, and again too, and that's why too, like you were kind of saying earlier, that at the end of the day, like, you know, if you win, then everything is good. But obviously that's a perfect world. Now obviously at the end of the day, you're going to lose more likely some games. But what I want is basically, I just want a coach that I want him to almost say like yeah, we're probably gonna, you know, I mean, like, you know, like, okay, I don't want him to say we're probably gonna lose games, but like I understand that he understands reality. We're gonna lose games, but I'm gonna make sure.
But
in press conference, well, guys, we will lose games.
But my point being is that I want him to basically say, but we're gonna make sure that we do not lose this game. Like, you know, that's why I want him to treat the Carolina, like, you know, like, because like look at like the Jim Harbaugh situation, like in Michigan, not right now, but over the years, or basically, I mean, he would get, you know, top 5, top 10 in the country, he would get you know all this and that, and, you know, 10-win seasons, but he didn't beat Ohio State, and like, you know, I know obviously maybe that we're not at the Michigan Ohio State level, but like it's like at the end of the day, hey, listen, to them beating Ohio State, that's all that matters, man. If you can't beat Ohio State, it doesn't matter what else you do. You know, you can't stick around. And so, you know, it's kind of like with me that obviously, like, you know, if we win an AC championship, like, you know, but we don't beat Carolina that year, I'm not going to be too upset. But, you know, let's be real. Like, you know, with Carolina fans, if they go 2-0 on you, you're going to hear it no matter what you do that year. You know, like, you know, it's going to be like, well, we beat you, you know, twice. Like, you know, and so I want that on them, you know. So I want that. Every State fan wants that. Like how amazing is it to have the comeback in football over them, like for 365 days, or 356 days. It's the best thing in the world. I love it. It's great ammo. So yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah. So kind of you know, talking a little bit here. So, you know, it's unfortunate. Obviously, we even have to have this conversation. I think that you know, if you asked us after the first season, you know, where would we be? None of us would have guessed we'd be here at this point. That's for sure. So, you know, because one other question I do want to ask you. So if, like, let's say, because again, this is being recorded on February 24th, Thursday, so before the Carolina game. So how much of an impact would beating Carolina on Saturday have on the season, on the heading into the off season? Like how big is this game against Carolina on Saturday?
You want to go ahead, Greg?
I think this is the one case where if you win, you're still losing. And if you lose, people kind of expect it. And if you win, we're like, okay, whatever. Like it's kind of it's a lost year anyway. So what does it really matter? Now again, you'll have those really traditional diehards, like go to heck Carolina, and I'm right there with you. But I don't think it means enough. It just doesn't mean enough because there's so many bad losses this year that it just be like, well, it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because we win the games that we're not supposed to win, and we lose the ones we're supposed to win. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at with that one. That being said, I hope we beat the crap out of them.
Why not?
Yeah, if you beat them, it's like, then why can't we do that every other game? I mean, it's jokingly. I can get that. I do think beating Carolina, though, just like you said, Leighton, it just makes things taste a little better that day, and
sure.
for the rest of the week or month, and.
But that day.
Well, no, that's not true.
You know what I mean?
That's why I proceeded on. It's like the next week, month. I mean, you can look back and say, well, we did beat Carolina, but I don't believe as a whole it's not something that will surpass the impact everything. I do think it will give the glass half full fans, like maybe like myself, and I'm gonna have to watch myself if that were to happen. But you'd be like, okay, he beat Carolina.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I do think some fans will get kind of being like warmed their heart and be proud, and they'll probably get fired up from it. And seeing the clips of the team in the locker room afterwards, seeing the ice cream tweet kind of thing, I do think that'll matter. Let me ask you this: What happens if State beats Carolina and Syracuse? Does that play? What happens if they beat Carolina, Syracuse, and win a game in the ACC tournament? Win 2 games in the tournament? Hypothetically, I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
but
it's not.
The team has to believe it's going to happen. The team has to believe it's going to happen. What would it? I want them to.
Well,
do it. Knock it out of the park, so to speak. So,
well, and thinking like that kind of reminds me of Godfrey. When he got let go before the ACC tournament, how he kind of did the, saying like, hey, anything can happen in the tournament. Like, it's a magical time. Anything can happen. And because I think that unfortunately the 83 win kind of gave all kind of state coaches that and all state fans yeah, you're right. It is magical. Like, yeah, it could happen. Hey, look at 83, and so, I mean, yeah, like for me, because we were talking about this again on Twitter Space, which is why I brought it up. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the picture for this season has been painted. It's nothing can get painted over it. The picture is the picture. The season's blown. There's nothing's going to change that. And
famous quote by Leighton: "The picture is the picture."
Only way it does get changed is if you win the ACC tournament.
But realistically,
that's the only way.
I mean, like, come on.
That's how Jimmy V and his team did it, but they weren't in the last place.
Well, but also too, they also played without Wittenberg for most of the season as well. So, but. And also,
you're saying we're just like the 83 team? Is that what you're saying? I'm kidding.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. Manny out of nowhere. I'm back, baby. It's like, what? No. So
no. But I don't know. It's so frustrating. Like, part of me just wants to be done with it. Just go out and go play hard. Just end it. And just like I said, let's move on to spring sports.
History, come on.
Well,
I mean, it really does feel like that. Just come on, just end the season. Baseball's been exciting enough. Let's just roll it. I mean, it sounds terrible because Smith and Sebron in particular have had amazing seasons
overall. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Smith's going to be freshman of the year. I mean, I think we can probably unless you talk about the kid from Notre Dame, which it'll probably be a close vote. Yeah. But you know what? Yeah. But honestly, maybe Smith doesn't get it because we stunk so bad, and they usually give that to winners. I hope so. I hope the writers, the voters are seeing what it is.
Didn't Eric Green for Virginia Tech win it on he won ACC Player of the Year on a really bad Virginia Tech team?
I think he
Eric
did.
Green back in 2010, 2011.
I think he did.
I think it was Eric.
It can happen.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a precedent there, but So, I mean, if that's what we're hanging our hat on, though, that's the best part of our season.
No kidding.
Yeeks.
Well, and the one other thing I want to say, too, is I think that a lot of fans right now are nervous about, is Big T going to leave next year? And the one thing that makes me, exactly, is he said in the press conference recently that this is his dream school. Like, this is where he wanted to play. And so at the end of the day, that's not going to change no matter how bad this season is. It's still going to be his dreams. Go ahead, Greg. Go. What you got?
Don't count it if Keats leaves, though. So that's, you know what I mean? Like things change based on
my thing is, too,
Blade's
point, he sounded like he committed more to a school at times than he did a coach. He did commit to a coach. But he sounded like he in this case, he was one of those players who actually had a level of, I'm committing to this school.
Yeah.
But my thing is, though,
he was all
Smith has the proverbial green light always on.
Oh, yeah.
Where else is he going to get? I mean, he might,
Sure.
So like we had this conversation before in the podcast. If he went to Duke, he's having to share the ball and everybody else is scoring.
Right.
So maybe he likes that. Maybe I like winning. I don't mind sharing the ball. Maybe he wants that, but I think he stays.
Yeah.
But Keats, I'll tell you this. If Keats stays, he has got to find a way to keep Terquavian. I don't see Sebron staying, but let's say maybe the way Sebron's been playing, he's now in the second round. He's got to find a way to get some of these guys to stay if he can.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, and second round in NBA, I mean, you get buried, and it's sometimes really hard to come back from that. I'm not saying that it's not impossible, but there's a lot of guys that get drafted in second rounds and don't have careers. They end up overseas. So, maybe he wants to stay and improve that draft stock. Obviously, we're not in his head, and he'll do what he needs to do. What's best for him and his family.
One of the saltiest.
The last second round pick was Cody Martin, but that was not even an NC State thing. That was Nevada.
Right. But and also too, one name that's still a salty in my head is
Lorenzo
CJ
Brown.
Leslie. How he left early and and he didn't even get drafted, which is like
I gotta redeem that. I gotta redeem that statement.
happens.
I can't say Cody Martin because he went to Nevada, and I can't believe we passed him. We let the Martin twins go.
Yeah.
The last second round pick was Lorenzo Brown. He was second round 52nd pick in 2013.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, same draft as CJ. So, all right. Well, again, Wolfpack Nation. Again, it's a tough conversation, but again, hopefully this was at least got the brain turning again in terms of expectations. Heading into the rest of the season and the off season. It'll be interesting to see what Boo does. It'll be interesting to see what Keats does this off season. But at the end of the day, it's got to be interesting. It's got to be big. Like if he's here, it's got to be big. He needs to have a big offseason. I think we can all agree on that. But again, hey, we got so much good going on right now with, again, women's basketball. We just won 5 conference championships within 2 days. So again, it's a great time right now to be a State fan, no matter what's going on necessarily with the State basketball, men's basketball. So keep that in mind.
There's so much success everywhere else.
There's so much success. Exactly.
So much to be positive. And
with that being said, though, again, just as a reminder, make sure you can hit that subscribe button, give this video a like if you don't mind, and give us a follow. Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But again, Wolfpack Nation, as always, keep your heads up, and hey, better days are ahead. As always, go Pack, y'all.